5-month gap, the 16-race 1987 Grand Prix World Championship starts here in the searing heat of Brazil. And it's all changed for 87. A new formula which embraces both 1.5-litre turbocharged and 3.5-litre normally aspirated engines. All the teams this year will be using the same type of Goodyear tyre, and there have been more designer and driver changes than we've seen for years. Even the race starter is new. When the lights turn to green, 13 of today's 22 drivers will be new to Formula One or with new teams. Defending champion Alain Prost has been joined at McLaren by Stefan Johansson, whose Ferrari place has been taken by Gerhard Berger. Lotus have a new Japanese driver, Satoru Nakajima, Honda engines and a revolutionary new suspension. As they line up for 61 laps of the demanding and abrasive Jacarapagua circuit in a temperature of some 35 degrees centigrade, there are at least 9 potential winners on the grid. And in pole position, starting the season as he means to go on, it's Nigel Mansell, nearly half a second quicker than his Williams teammate Nelson Piquet. Third, Ayrton Senna, just 1/100th of a second faster than Teo Fabi's Benetton. Fifth, world champion Alain Prost. Sixth, Thierry Boutsen in the second Benetton, ahead of Gerhard Berger's Ferrari. Derek Warwick is an excellent 8th in his first drive for Arrows, followed by Alboreto 9th and Johansson 10th. Jonathan Palmer in the Tyrrell at 19th is the fastest non-turbo, ahead of Martin Brundle's turbocharged Zaxby, but they're both 10 seconds slower than Mansell, which means they could well be lapped 6 times in the race. And the Brazilian Grand Prix has started. It looks like a clean start. Piquet leads. Senna is up ahead of Mansell, who's had a bad start and has been passed by both Benettons. Nelson Piquet then, the man who is in his second season with Williams, has now got Ayrton Senna, who has got the new computerized active ride suspension on the Lotus, and with which he is not at all happy. The two Brazilian local heroes, Piquet, world champion of 81 and 83, leads, followed by last year's pole position holder Senna. There is Fabi in 3rd place, Boutsen in the Benetton in 4th position, Mansell in 5th, and you can see how low the ride height is as they strike sparks. Piquet. And a replay of the start.
Yes, and Mansell didn't really get the drop at the start. It's a little bit slow wave, and you see a lot of weaving about, but everybody got away without contact as we rejoin Nelson Piquet, coming up to complete the first lap.
The Honda the Williams Honda completing lap 1, 60 to go, less change than most of the cars. Senna seems to have made up a little time on Piquet in the lead.
And there was an official there on the start line with a black flag. We couldn't see what number he was holding out, but the black flag, when shown with your car number, means that you have to come into the pits because there has been some infringement or some reason that the stewards wish to speak to you. So we will try and determine who that's for and why.
While we watch Nelson Piquet leading on lap 2, followed by Ayrton Senna second, the two Benettons 3rd and 4th, Fabi and Boutsen, Mansell still in 5th place. And let us remind ourselves that tyre wear is going to be absolutely critical in this race. They are all on the same type of Goodyear tyre, and because of the power they're producing, it is expected that some of the teams may have to make 4 stops.
And we understand that the black flag then was for Campos, the Spanish driver who's making his debut in Grand Prix racing because he joined the back of the grid and didn't take his place correctly by coming around with the field.
And Nigel Mansell, I can tell you, has now moved ahead of Thierry Boutsen up into 4th place. So here comes the leader. Number 6, Nelson Piquet, the oldest man in the race, incidentally. Now, he does about 200 miles an hour down the straight, and you can see Mansell is tucked up in the second of the Williams Hondas, right behind Teo Fabi's car. There's Senna in second place. So Mansell is starting to move through the field. He's up into fourth, past Boutsen, challenging the third place man, Fabi. And we look at Nelson Piquet, and we are now on lap 3 out of 61. This very flat, and Mansell is third. And not only third, but well ahead of Teo Fabi. And of course, if Mansell can get past Senna, and I think he can, because Senna has said that he's not at all happy with the active ride suspension of the Lotus as Piquet comes through to complete lap 3. Mansell will then only have his double world champion teammate, and I put the words teammate in quotes ahead of him, because in fact Mansell and Piquet are not the best of friends. Now there is De Cesaris in the second of the Brabhams. There are Senna on the left, Mansell on the right. Lap 4, race order. Piquet leads, Senna second, Mansell is in third place, Fabi is in fourth position, fifth is Alain Prost playing a waiting game as usual, sixth is Thierry Boutsen, in seventh place is Berger, and there is the change as the McLaren of Stefan Johansson moves up a place and Piquet comes through to complete his fourth lap. And behind number 28, Gerhard Berger, is his teammate, Michele Alboreto. So the two new Ferraris going fairly well in 7th and 8th places. And Mansell now getting ready to go for Ayrton Senna in second place.
Yes, the interesting thing in practice and qualifying for this meeting, most teams were pretty unhappy with the handling of their cars, couldn't get it quite right. The two teams that stood out on that were the Benetton teams, the Benetton team and the McLaren team. So Alain Prost, as usual, in no hurry to assert himself early in the race, working on the philosophy that he only needs to be in front on lap 61, but not particularly before it. Nigel Mansell came whizzing up to Senna, but of course now he's in the hole in the air that Senna's car makes, which of course affects the aerodynamics of his car. He's driving in a partial vacuum and his wings don't work so well, therefore he doesn't get the downforce, and this is where overtaking becomes very difficult, because the closer you get to the car in front, the worse your car behaves.
And Senna, of course, will certainly not be making it easy for Nigel Mansell to get past him. So we have a Williams leading that yellow Lotus second, the Williams in third place. There's the race leader, Nelson Piquet, the Benetton of Teo Fabi in fourth position, and incidentally, Alain Prost was fastest in the final half hour of practice this morning, and you see him in the background there. He's closing up on the Benetton in front of him. Second fastest in the warm-up, and this is significant too, was the Ferrari of Michele Alboreto, and there is Senna. Now, a quick word about this active ride computerized suspension system on Senna's car. It dispenses with the normal springs and shock absorbers and replaces them by hydraulics controlled by a computer, which works as computers do with lightning speed. And it means to say that if it is working properly, the ride height, that vital gap between the bottom of the car and the track, is absolutely constant, irrespective of the fuel load. That should help the aerodynamics, which helps the grip on the ground, and of course helps tyre wear. Lotus have been working on this for a long, long time. Mansell drove an active ride computerized suspension car as long ago as 1983 and didn't like it at all. But Peter Wright, the brilliant Lotus engineer, has got it working much better, but still not entirely to the satisfaction of second place man Ayrton Senna. There's Piquet, the leader. We are on lap 6, which is just about 1/10 distance. Now, Senna second, Mansell third, Fabi is in fourth position. Fifth behind him and getting closer all the time is Alain Prost, and in sixth position it's Thierry Boutsen. And there is Johansson moving up through the track, and Warwick is in 11th place in the Arrows. Martin Brundle is in 13th, and in 17th place is Palmer. And of course, if this computerized suspension system that Senna that we're looking at now doesn't work, it is utterly unpredictable.
Yes, if it does fail, of course, it can be very dangerous indeed, because the suspension of the car just collapses, and that is one of the worries that designers have, and why some other teams haven't adopted it. Incidentally, the Williams team have done a lot of testing during the winter with an active suspension system car, but as yet they have declared themselves not ready to race it, and they're racing a conventional suspension car. It's one of the old problems for motor racing designers as to whether to keep it simple and straightforward, which has a lot of advantages for reliability and everything else, and weight, or whether to go fully complicated. Anyway, Senna now under pressure, and there is Nelson Piquet in the pits already.
This is very, very early. I've got the stopwatch running. We are now on lap 7, and Piquet into the pits. You can see there he is, the stopwatch running. Out he goes, and according to my stopwatch, that was 12.4 seconds, which is not a particularly quick pit stop. And of course that means that Senna has gone into the lead. Mansell has gone up into second place.
And Alain Prost has passed Theo Fabi, so Prost goes into third place.
And look at this, Prost is closing. Prost is catching Mansell, who is still behind Senna, who is leading, and there in the pits is Theo Fabi, who was in 4th position. This will already be tremendous encouragement to the Woking-based McLaren team, who lost their star designer John Barnard to Ferrari at the end of last year. And the new car, designed by Steve Nichols, a lot of people didn't think he would be able to design a car as well as Barnard, but he's made dramatic changes. The car looks the same, but for instance, the air outlets you can see are in the side of the side pods now, and not on the top. The car is lower. The tag engine, designed and built by Porsche, has been worked on. And of course, you can never ignore Prost, and he goes through and takes second place from Nigel Mansell on lap 11.
Now we just see Prost, he got into position at the start of the straight, he got into Mansell's slipstream, and it was a very simple overtaking manoeuvre, just to tow past him, and Mansell sensibly did not try and fight back.
So Senna, Prost, and Theo Fabi has gone missing from our lap chart. Theo Fabi, number 19, the little Italian who's had such bad luck in the Benetton over the years. There's a Ferrari to the pits, and it's Alboreto. Race order, lap 13, Senna in the lead, Prost in second place, Boutsen, who has not changed tyres, in the Benetton, 3rd position. 4th is Berger. In 5th position now is Stefan Johansson in the 2nd McLaren. In 6th place is Nelson Piquet, who's made his pit stop, and you saw Senna's hand come out of the cockpit. He looks to me as though he's in trouble. Prost takes the lead on lap 13. Is Senna out of the Brazilian Grand Prix when he's into the pits?
Yeah, no, it looks like Senna going for tyres as well. Of course, tyre wear will be at its worst at this stage of the race, because the cars are full of fuel. They're some 50% heavier when they start the race than when they finish, because of the huge fuel load. And a little bit of a problem on the left rear wheel there, but not a bad pit stop. 12 seconds by the Lotus team.
Prost into the pits, race leader, Prost into the pits on lap 16. Seconds ticking away. The best time we've had so far is 12.4 seconds, and that was a superb McLaren pit stop. So now, race order. Boutsen is in the lead, closely followed. There he is, second place man, Nelson Piquet in the Williams. 3rd is Stefan Johansson in the McLaren. Fourth is Nigel Mansell, and Piquet blasts past. He reaches across for the turbo switch, turns up the boost, and the crowd roars as Nelson Piquet from Brazil leads the Brazilian Grand Prix on lap 17. There you see, that is extra boost, nothing else, that just enabled Piquet to soar past Bucci's peloton. And you look at the race leader now, because Nelson Piquet, unobserved by, and there's the gigantic spin for one of the Minardis. It's Alessandro Nannini spinning off in the Minardi and ripping off the right rear wheel and looking to be perfectly okay, and Nelson Piquet leads.
Yes, I think actually the right rear wheel had come loose beforehand, and that looked like a failure to me. As he steps away because the suspension looks undamaged, so either the wheel fell off or something around it came adrift.
It's good though to know that it's a British car and a British driver, Jonathan Palmer, who is the leading non-turbocharged car. He is in the Tyrrell, he's in 17th place, and he was long since lapped. I've estimated that if the race speeds and times go as we expect them to do here, and Piquet looks to me as, yes, he's going to the pits again.
It goes back to the mathematics because, and I'm quite sure that Piquet will have been doing a lot of calculating in his head about when to time his pit stop, because it is definitely a matter of choice and critical choice, which could very well determine the outcome of the race.
Good pit stop, 11.2 seconds, not as good as that of Alain Prost, 10.4. Nigel Mansell is leading the Brazilian Grand Prix again on lap 20, but it's all going to be down to the tyres.
Yes, and significantly for Mansell, I don't suppose he feels very secure with Alain Prost right behind him. And remember, Prost is on a fresher set of tyres. He made his stop several laps later than Nigel Mansell. Mansell, if he's working with the similar tactics as Prost, makes his move, and Prost takes the slipstream, dives past, so Alain Prost now takes over the lead. I expect that Mansell will stop again fairly soon for more tyres, and it looks as if Prost is going to be able to go through the race with certainly one less tyre stop, maybe more.
Nigel Mansell comes into the pits, was in second position. Start the stopwatch. This is lap 23 now. Nigel Mansell, second pit stop, fastest one we've had so far. That's a superb stop by the Williams team, the fastest of the day so far, 9.3 seconds. And you're looking now at the battle for third position behind Nakajima's yellow Lotus, between in the red and white McLaren, the Swedish driver Stefan Johansson, and right behind him, number 6, ex-race leader, ex-Brazilian Grand Prix winner Nelson Piquet. Piquet, as I remind you, had 2 stops for tyres. He's on fairly new rubber in comparison with Johansson. They are on lap 26 out of 61. They both blast past Nakajima, who moves over and lets them through. And Piquet's going for second now. There he goes, the crowd roars, but Stefan Johansson holds him off. And Piquet was going for third, of course, not second, my apologies.
And Senna's just got into the pits. He peeled off the circuit then, there he is, heading into the pits. So Senna goes for his second tyre change onto his third set of tyres. That, of course, extends Prost's lead. And a very efficient pit stop indeed by the Lotus team.
So now on lap 29, with Senna having gone into the pits in second position, that means to say that the 2 McLarens, Prost and Johansson, are in first and second places, but are they going to be for very much longer? Because there's Piquet on the left in third position, showing the nose of his Williams Honda in the mirrors of Stefan Johansson's McLaren, shaping up to try and get past. Stefan Johansson will have nothing of it on lap 29. We are almost at half distance of the 1987 Brazilian Grand Prix, leading Alain Prost. Second, Johansson there. Third, Nelson Piquet. In fourth position now is Nigel Mansell, with Senna having gone into the pits. 5th is Berger, 6th is Patrese. Ah, look at that! Johansson into the pits, and Piquet goes up into the 2nd position.
But Prost, with his cushion of some 25 seconds, is in the happy position of being able to nurse his tyres and not to slide the car about too much. He's under no pressure at all. But I would expect him to come in the next 3 or 4 laps, take on one more set, and he'll be hoping that he can get in and out of the pits and still be in the lead, leaving his rivals not only behind him, but probably with one more stop to make themselves.
And into the pits goes Prost. Now, this is the crucial pit stop. Start the stopwatch now. Seconds ticking away, and his visor is cleaned. 9.3 seconds is the fastest pit stop that we've had so far, and that's very close to it indeed.
Yes, tremendous efficiency, and that should get Prost out, still just in the lead. Now, Prost has already exited the pits. And there is Prost out on his fresh and what he hopes will be his final set of tyres to see him through to the end of the race. And Prost has got in and out of the pits in the lead. We can't give you a gap at the moment till they cross the start-finish line for the next time. But Prost now looks extremely secure.
And there is Nelson Piquet in the pits, and of course that consolidates Alain Prost's lead. This is Piquet's 3rd stop for tyres. He stopped on lap 7, he stopped on lap 20, and now he has stopped on lap 38. So you can work out for yourselves whether or not Piquet is going to have to stop for tyres again. 18 laps he did on that set of tyres. So yes, I think he is going to have to stop, unless he takes a chance in the latter stages of the race. Meantime, race leader Alain Prost, if he can keep the tyre wear down, as he has done already in this race, looks as though he is on his way to his 4th Brazilian Grand Prix win in 6 years. Incredible. As Senna goes into the pits again, he last stopped on lap 29, and this is lap 44. Lap 44, Ayrton Senna stopping again for tyres. Fastest time we've had is still that of Nigel Mansell, 9.3, and he's gestured out of the pits. You saw the time, just a whisker over 10 seconds. And now Ayrton Senna will be going through the rest of this race on the boots that he has now. And you see Piquet now 29 seconds. The gap is increasing, with Prost pulling away from Piquet, but with Johansson pretty close to the Brazilian, and it's limping, and that is Nigel Mansell's car. Nigel Mansell limping on lap 46 in the Williams.
It looks very much like Australia. His left rear tyre has appears to have thrown a tread, but without undue drama. So Mansell is not yet out of the race. He should be able to limp the car back to the pits, hopefully without doing too much damage to its tummy, because of course the tummy rubs on the ground in that situation. Now, in the meantime, his teammate Nelson Piquet is trying to bring a little bit of life back into this rather processional race by putting on a late charge. He's comfortably the fastest man on the circuit and is actually catching Prost. But I believe that Piquet is going to have to make yet another pit stop, and I'm sure Prost believes that, so I don't think that Prost will really feel under any pressure.
Well, Mansell back charging now, trying to get back in the points. Some 12 seconds lost stationary, plus the slowing down and speeding up time. Nigel Mansell had gone down to 7th position, and there is Senna. Senna is retiring from the Brazilian Grand Prix on lap 51, and Senna was in 4th position, and that helps Nigel Mansell's chances, of course, because now up into 4th position will go Michele Alboreto. To 5th place will go Gerhard Berger. To 6th place will go Boutsen with the retirement of Patrese, and to 7th place will go Nigel Mansell. I say again, Ayrton Senna walks in to retire from, of all races, the one he would like to do well at, most of all, the Brazilian Grand Prix. Well, Prost is definitely closing, as you see. He's definitely easing his pace. He's letting the two Ferraris get on with it. They are actually battling now for 4th position, with number 27, Michele Alboreto, in that place, chased by his new teammate, Gerhard Berger, and Prost has just eased up and is letting them get on with it. He knows that he's at least a full lap ahead of them. There is no need for him to get embroiled in a battle that might take him off. So he's easing back and watching the action in front, and it is action. Alboreto and number 27 and Berger there, number 28, battling for 4th position.
Yes, it's been quite a long time since we had a race to watch, and this is a very important race because there is no rivalry like inside team rivalry between two teammates. Oh dear! And that looks like trouble, I think. I didn't understand why the car went so low and dragged for so long. With this amount of fuel on board.
Well, whatever the reason, Gerhard Berger has passed Michele Alboreto and moved up into 4th place. Once again, the very likeable Italian has to suffer the indignity of seeing his number 2 finish ahead of him, and he's definitely in some sort of trouble. You can see that by the fact that Prost, who's going comparatively slowly by his standards, has taken the Italian in the Ferrari. Lap 60 now, just this lap and the next one for Alain Prost to make it his 4th Brazilian Grand Prix win in 4 years. An amazing record of top consistency. Second is Piquet, who is now over half a minute behind the brilliant Frenchman in the McLaren and has clearly settled for 6 points and 2nd place. In 3rd position for McLaren in his first race for the Woking team, the Swede Stefan Johansson. So McLarens are 1st and 3rd on 13 points for the Constructors' Championship. Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari took Michele Alboreto and 4th place. Alboreto is in 5th position still, but has been lapped. Will he manage to stave off Thierry Boutsen, who is 6th? Will he be able to stave off Nigel Mansell, who is 7th but well back? If Alboreto has to slow down yet more, Nigel Mansell might just make 1 point. And he is now on his last lap of a brilliant race.
Yes, very easy, very assured win for Alain Prost.
To move ahead of Fangio and Jim Clark, with whom he shares 25 victories. To move up to the driver with the 2nd highest number of successes of all time in Grand Prix World Championship racing, albeit, and I say this with no discredit to him, more races than Jackie Stewart. Jackie Stewart won 27 of his 99 races. Alain Prost, if he wins here today, will have won 26 of 106. So Jackie Stewart's percentage of wins will be higher, but that is no discredit to the incredible Alain Prost. There he goes. A magnificent victory, not only for Alain Prost, but the entire McLaren team, and in particular their new race car designer Steve Nichols, for Ron Dennis, who pulls it all together administratively, for race engineer Tim Wright, and for all the rest of a really superb team who, with consistency and just quietly getting on with the job, have produced so many winners. And this is to be Alain Prost's 26th victory of a magnificent career, and Prost wins the Brazilian Grand Prix of 1987 to get 9 World Championship points. The next home should be, indeed will be, Nelson Piquet, last year's winner. And Nigel Mansell has just managed to get across the line in 6th place and win a single World Championship point. So a magnificent 26th Grand Prix win for double world champion Alain Prost, driving his McLaren. In 2nd position, last year's winner, Nelson Piquet, Williams Honda. In 3rd position, in his first race for McLaren, Stefan Johansson. 4th, Gerhard Berger for Ferrari. 5th, Thierry Boutsen in the Benetton. And in 6th position, the Williams Honda of Nigel Mansell. Jonathan Palmer finished in the leading non-turbo car for Tyrrell in 10th position, and that's a fine performance. And that means to say that McLaren lead the Constructors' Championship with 13 points. Williams second on 7, and then 3rd and 4th, Ferrari and Benetton. Well, if you've enjoyed Grand Prix, you can follow all the future action by taking up the calendar offer in this week's Radio Times. And remember, there are still 15 Grand Prix to go. And in 3 weeks' time, the 2nd Grand Prix of the year, the first in Europe, the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. Join us with Grand Prix.